Hi, everybody. This is SAAD for the SAAD Truth. Whenever I try to steer clear from the tsunami of lunacy, it always crashes against my attempts to run away from it because the idiocy, the collective psychosis, the abyss of infinite darkness always rears its ugly head. And so, for better or worse, I've become a central repository of all of this lunacy. And so whenever I try to escape from it, someone nudges me along and says, hey, can you please weigh in on yet this other form of lunacy? And so perhaps it's a form of fireman complex, right? Imagine a fireman who every time he or she or Xir tries to put his, her, or they's head down to sleep, someone nudges them because there's another fire to be extinguished somewhere. So I've become the fireman of reason. So today I'll discuss two quick cases. One, hat tip to Lindsay Shepard, who tweeted out this article. I thought I would read it for you. I've previously discussed the intersection of queer theory and fat studies, and here's a fantastic other manifestation of this wonderful intersection. So this paper is titled "Tempo Dash Rarely Fat: A Queer Exploration of Fat Time." So let me just read the abstract for you because I was going to read more stuff, but I don't think I can get through it. By the way, the keywords are chrononormativity, fat studies, heteronormativity, queer temporalities, and queer theory. So here we go. This is a paper by Jamie McFarland, Vanessa Slouthaber, and Alison Taylor. The first two are in the Department of Women's Studies and Feminist Research at the University of Western Ontario. Hey, I'll be there on May 5th. They should come out and see me. I'll be speaking as a plenary speaker. Actually, also Lindsay Shepard will be there. This is a society, Canadian society that tries to promote academic freedom. So come out and check me out if you're in the area. And then the third author is Gender, Feminist, and Women's Studies at York University. So here we go. The authors consider how heteronormative temporal arrangements regulate fat bodies. Fat bodies, like normative bodies, are made meaningful in relation to normative notions of time. Fat bodies, however, fail to keep up with normative tempos. Accordingly, the authors explore how fat bodies are always already positioned outside of these heteronormative timelines by analyzing three temporal markers of straight life or normative rites of passage that mark progress in a heteronormative timeline: marriage, reproduction / childbearing, and death. First, the authors argue that subjects are only successful within heteronormative sequential temporal schemes of living if they are normatively sized and shaped, evidenced by discourses encouraging weight loss as a solution to finding a spouse, successfully reproducing and rearing children, and ensuring a long life and garnering wealth to pass on to future generations. Second, they contend that cyclical time governs the ways in which fat women's bodies are managed, specifically regarding the gaining and losing of weight in accordance with normative markers of time. Overall, the authors explore how fat subjects are limited or constricted by chrononormativity. However, rather than positioning these limits as wholly oppressive of fat subjects, the authors conclude that queered fat temporalities offer opportunities for reimagining different ways of life and time. I should mention that I could feel comfortable reading this and once in a while chuckling because I myself, I'm a person of size, and so I'm allowed to do that. Just like if you are of a certain race, you're allowed to say certain words, but if you're not of that race, you can't do it. So I'm allowed to read this stuff and find it quite humorous only because I'm a person of size. If you've watched this clip and you're not a person that is differently weighted, then it's Gulag 13 for you. All right, let's go on to the next one in the tsunami of lunacy. This came, I can't remember the person who, from whom I was alerted regarding this latest instantiation of craziness, but you could go track it on my social media, on my Twitter feed. It's a lecture by Jonelle Robinson. She is a geographer at Syracuse University, close to where I went to graduate school at Cornell University. Whenever I would travel from Montreal to Ithaca, New York, I would have to go through Syracuse. Anyways, in this lecture, she's explaining to us how, you ready? You're sitting down? Maps are racists. Buckle up. Here we go. So I'm going to read exactly a quote from her lecture, and I took a snapshot picture. I think it's around the 16-minute, 14 seconds mark where this quote comes up. I'll post the link to the actual lecture for your viewing and listening pleasures. So critical cartographers have studied maps for years and years, and they find they're socially constructed, right? And expressions of power that historically maps have been used to colonize and conquer and are primarily created by white men. Those who engage in critical cartography are interested to use maps for different purposes to show the alternative viewpoints. Counter cartographers seek to use maps to tell these different stories of the oppressed, focusing on topics such as social deprivation, poverty, and hunger. Community geography is influenced by radical geographers such as Bill Bungie, ... So notice some of the words. Counter geographers, right? It's the counterculture. Radical geography, just like radical feminism, right? Radical social justice warriors. And then, of course, critical geographers, which I'm guessing comes from critical race theory. So there you have it. Even something like geography is now within the purview of the social justice warriors. There is nothing, I mean literally nothing, that is not within the purview or within the reach of these intellectual terrorists. And as I always remind you, you can either sit idly, consume these videos, and do nothing about it, or you can participate in the battle of ideas. And you can do that in a myriad of ways. You can challenge your professors when they spew nonsense. You could engage your friends when they spew this nonsense. In other words, everyone has a voice and everyone can participate in challenging idiocy and intellectual terrorism wherever you may find it. Hope you're having a good week. I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.